think what inspires me so much is capturing feelings. I always wanted a camera growing up, but just took pictures on my phone, just kind of documenting the moment, the memories. Kind of a nice break too after all the heavy studying courses, get more in the creative side. And I think I found that's where I kind of thrived a bit. So I was definitely looking for something not too far from home. I was very interested in a lot of the extracurricular things to do, intramurals, sports, what kind of that social campus life was like.
What did you intend to study?
Exercise science.
But then what happened? Because that's not what you ended up with.
So it's like a build your own major. You can piece a major together. So a three-way major, I guess. High school, maybe I studied for 10 or 30 minutes for a test. At Augie, I think it was at least 10 hours a week, maybe more, and hoping that the knowledge in the textbook would go to my brain. I took a tropical ecology course. It was a lot more just kind of exploring. We went to a rainforest, explored the country a little bit, went to some beaches, and I got to meet people around the world too. It was an awesome course, and I think that changed my life for sure. Loving working for myself. Even just looking at the past 3 years, I feel like my business has grown a lot. It's fun to see the growth and the change.
Thank you for joining us as we go back to college. For those of you who don't know, my name is Zach Stevenson and I attended college in the US between 2016 and 2020. Last year I traveled back to the US to reconnect with my classmates who came from countries all over the world. And this podcast is about their stories from this unique, once-in-a-lifetime experience that ultimately transformed us into the people we set out to become. My hope is that you can gain some perspective on how taking a huge leap of faith, such as studying in a different country, can change your life in ways that you never could have imagined. If that's what you're all about, please subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening. You can also watch the podcast episodes on YouTube or Spotify. Yep, they're videos as well. Go check them out. But let's crack into the episode. In this episode today, we are joined by someone who grew up in a small town of 3,000 people, just 3 hours away from campus. She decided to make the move to the big city of Sioux Falls after falling in love with the idea of Augie on her 4th college visit. She's the only person I know to have built her own major. Apparently that's a thing. And if there's one person to do it, it would be today's guest. She graduated with a 3-way major, aka an interdisciplinary major. During her time at college, she let her creative side fully take over as she discovered a whole new world through a camera lens. Her passion for photography has recently become her full-time job as she works with couples capturing their love. Speaking of love, I love this conversation. I hope you love it too. Get ready, it's time to go back to college with Raquel. Raquel Curriel, welcome back to college.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
How does it feel to be back on campus?
It's crazy, but also it's changed so much, so it kind of feels weird and I kind of feel a little bit lost in a way.
I couldn't believe I was walking around just the other day. I just couldn't believe the amount of change that's going on. Like there's huge buildings in open spaces where it used to just be grass.
Right? I know. And I think they got rid of some grass too.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are a bit unhappy about that. But there's a vision for the college 2030 to go Div 1. So I think that's where everything's heading.
Right. It's true.
But how have you been? What have you been up to recently?
I've been good. Yeah, I've been pretty busy doing a little bit of traveling, but live in Sioux Falls with my fiance, and I have 2 cats. So those 3 keep me busy. Also doing photography full time. That's very busy too.
You guys got engaged. It was just earlier this year, right?
Yep, just in September.
Yeah, so it's only been a couple of months. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very exciting.
Yeah, I'm very happy, very pumped and excited.
Yeah, well, I would like to meet Mark at some point.
Yeah.
He seems like a bit of a legend.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a fun guy. And actually, V, our mutual friend, she introduced us.
Oh, really? And that's how the connection started.
Yep. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the full-time photography since March of this year?
Yep.
How's that been?
Oh, yeah, it's been awesome. Before I was working in like a corporate office, 9 to 5, very kind of bland, honestly.
What company was it? Because I think I spent some time there for some reason.
Poet?
Yeah. Was it? I think I remember just coming to visit your work one day. I don't know if that was Poet or someone else you're working for.
Yeah. Oh, I do remember. That was before Poet, my job before.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But also a little bit similar, like doing marketing mostly. Yeah.
And so you're just sick of the 9 to 5 and you thought, well, I've got all these photography skills that I've been doing for a few years. It's time to just give it a shot.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I think I kind of like just the more the environment of being more on the go, meeting people, spending more time at shoots instead of sitting at a desk all day. So now I'm just mostly sitting at a desk editing, but on my own schedule.
Beautiful. Well, we'll definitely talk about that more. You grew up in Minnesota, is that correct?
Yep.
And what part? Was it in Minneapolis or a smaller town?
It was a small town of about 3,000 people, about 3 hours from Sioux Falls.
Yeah, okay. And how was that?
It was, I think I'm definitely more of a city girl because as soon as I left, I honestly have hardly gone back. It was a very like nice, quiet community, very close, but I think maybe a little bit too much of people knowing your neighbor's business, where I think I kind of like a little more things to do, and just seeing more people is fun.
Absolutely. And your dad is from Peru.
Yep, that's right.
And recently you actually did a trip to Peru for the very first time. How was it?
Yeah, that was, it was crazy. It was so much fun. Yeah, loved visiting Peru. I think I've never seen so many people in one spot. I believe the city, Lima, or the capital, is over 4 million people. So yeah.
That's pretty big compared to Sioux Falls. Very
Right?
big.
Very, yes.
And how was the culture there?
The culture was awesome. Yeah, very very fast paced hustle culture, but also very like admirable too. I think just something about kind of everybody making a living for themselves, even if they had nothing to everyone has something they're selling on the street, or people are persistent. So I think there's just really a lot of admirable qualities about the people, and also the food is unreal. It's so good.
And what parts of Peru did you visit while you were there?
We stayed in Arequipa, which is a little bit more of a city surrounded by like mountains and a little bit more Spanish influenced, very beautiful city, lots of volcanoes nearby. And then also in Lima, the capital city.
And so is Lima, because I really don't know anything about Peru, is it a fairly developed city?
I'd say so, yes. I think there's different I forget what they're called. I think provinces, kind of different areas, where some are a little bit older and then some are a little bit more newer, or have had more renovations on them. So yeah, and each part kind of feels like a city on its own too, because it's so big.
Yeah. And I guess my interest is sort of wondering about the food in Peru. What sort of food do they have there?
Yeah, they have a lot. I wrote it all down on my phone too, but yeah, like a couple things they're famous for is, I believe it's their anticucho, so just like different parts of the cow. That one, I believe it's the cow heart or tongue, but
yeah, some sort of exotic body part.
Right, exactly, yeah. But yeah, super tasty, very tender, full of flavor. What sorts of foods do they have? They have a lot of different like fruits, potatoes, like 7 different kinds of like corn that you don't see here in the States. But yeah.
Is there more than one type of corn, is there? Well, I guess normal corn, white corn are the only two I can think of.
Right, there's purple corn there. Yep, all kinds.
Well, I think South Dakota needs to adopt a bit of that because it's just yellow for as far as the eye can see.
Right, I mean, always need more diversity here.
Yeah, it's great. And how did you sort of make it to Sioux Falls then? Was it when you decided to go to Augie, that's sort of how you moved to Sioux Falls?
Yeah, pretty much was looking for schools to attend, colleges to attend after high school. And Augie was still pretty close to my family where my parents lived in Minnesota. And yeah, as soon as I really walked on campus and took my first tour, I loved it. And yeah, it's a beautiful campus.
So was this the first college then that you toured?
I think it was the fourth one and the last one.
Yeah. And what were you sort of looking at in a college at that time?
In a little while.
Yeah, and I guess that's why we're going back.
Right.
But to me, there's like the huge colleges like U of M. I mean, even like examples in California, UCLA.
Right.
Massive colleges which have tens of thousands of people.
Mm-hmm.
Did you consider going to one of them?
I did not. Yeah. So I was definitely looking for something not too far from home. And in Minnesota. And I think something that kind of had majors I was interested in too, of course, different programs, which it had quite a good variety. Also, I think was very interested in a lot of the extracurricular things to do. So like intramurals, sports, what kind of that social campus life was like. And I feel like Augie really gave you a good taste of it.
So did you already know that what you wanted to study while you were going to college, while you're trying to pick?
I had an idea, but I think I ended up changing my major 3 times throughout.
3
college.
times? Yeah, okay. I mean, to be fair, that's pretty typical. I changed, well, technically twice, but definitely at least once.
Right. Yeah, because I think out of high school, you kind of think you maybe know what you're going to do, but really I feel like Augie just kind of shapes you and tells you what you want to do.
And for people who grow up here in the US, I like to ask a question if you felt sort of the pressure or the need to go to a college here, because I feel like that's very much the assumed pathway. If you can afford it, like definitely go, but it almost just seems like it's a bridge to get a higher paying job and just to, sort of to unlock the rest of your life. So did you feel that sort of pressure to go?
I think, yeah. I think I don't know if I even considered or thought about going to school outside of the country as an option, actually. Just because I didn't know about it. And yeah, but yeah, that would have been so much fun because now I've realized that I do love to travel and seeing different cultures is amazing.
Yeah, terrific. What was it like for you when you actually moved to Sioux Falls and you started at Augustana?
I think I was very excited to kind of get out of my small town and to meet people. Also nervous, of course, too, just because it's like that first day of school feeling, nervous and excited.
Best feeling ever.
Right.
I love it. And actually, since being back the last couple of days, I feel like I'm just like living and breathing that again. And I don't have the pressure of going to classes or having to do anything else. I just get to be here and just walk around and just have a great time.
That's awesome.
And catch up with everyone, all my friends.
Right? That is the best time. Just kind of living the social life a little bit.
Yeah, so it's such a good feeling, that first day of school feeling. Mm-hmm. But so were you nervous at all?
I think definitely. I think I know Augie, they're a little bit more like it's or you think maybe it's an intense private school, which I think it is in some ways. Some classes can be really tough. And I definitely had some that really challenged me. I'd never studied like I did at Augie before going to college here. So
and probably not afterwards either.
Right?
Never again.
No school after that. I was very excited to have the diploma and be done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And coming in, so what did you intend to study as you were coming in?
Exercise science.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
But then what happened? Because that's not what you ended up with.
Right. I think I kind of thought about like the major, what sort of career I could get with an exercise science major, and didn't really want to do the PT or OT route.
Which I think is like, I don't know any other careers that you can have out of exercise science apart from those two. Right.
Those are like, the big ones. And then, and then I think I just like didn't feel quite as connected to that major or those career paths. So I think after that I switched to biology and education because I wanted to be a biology high school teacher.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, biology is a big jump from, well, I guess exercise science and sort of, they coexist together, but I feel like just in terms of difficulty, biology seems to me a lot more intense.
Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was definitely, those classes were the ones that challenged me the most.
Did you end up sticking out the biology?
I sadly did not. I had to think about that.
Did I finish with that?
But I think those classes were still so great, and those professors, yeah, I definitely miss. There's, I think, some of the best professors at Augie. I know probably everyone says that about their own major and professors. No, I then, after biology and education, I switched to an interdisciplinary major and added business. So it's kind of like a three-way major, I guess.
So that's interdisciplinary.
Which I didn't know existed until my advisor told me about it, actually.
And so what is it exactly? So it's a few different majors.
Yep. So it's kind of where you can piece a major together. So it's like a build your own major. Just because that doing that kind of made sense for me, because I think by that point, when I wanted to switch, I was about in my third year or junior year at Augie. So was sort of running out of time if I wanted to graduate in 4 years.
Like, how am I going to graduate in time? I know. Let's just build our own major from scratch.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. So then how did that process work? What did you actually do to build your own major?
So it was kind of nice. I think at that point, I had actually already taken a couple of business classes just to kind of dabble and see what business was like too, and what those classes were, since I had some interest in that. And then I already had the part of the build your own major covered for biology and education with the few 3 or 4 classes or requirements I needed for that. And then just needed a couple more business classes, and then actually had credits left over, and then took a photography course actually my last semester too.
Yeah, terrific. And so what's the official degree then when you look at that? Interdisciplinary. I still struggle to say that word. But what does that official title look like? Is that what it's called?
Yep. Yeah, I believe my diploma says interdisciplinary major. And then, I mean, I guess if I were to like write it out or tell people, I usually say like business or primarily business or business emphasis, just to save time.
I don't know, that's really fascinating that you can kind of build your own major, and I had no idea that you could actually do that.
Right.
So, but how does that work with requirements? Because obviously the set majors, they have all these classes you have to take, starting with the intro ones and then sort of building on top of that, getting more advanced. So how do you actually build your own major, and what requirements do you need to fulfill in order to get that?
Right. So actually, to this day, I'm not entirely sure if it's something like you can start with, like, start off as a freshman, like interdisciplinary major. I mean, it is nice because then you can, if you have a lot of like passions and interests like me, like you can kind of do everything. Or I think you can do up to 3 different topics like biology, business, and to make your interdisciplinary major. Wait, what was the question again?
So like there are just the requirements of like how you can actually finish that, because it seems like, I'm just going to take these easy classes and I'm just going to get an interdisciplinary major.
Right.
So then, but how has it actually become like you sort of get that difficulty where, okay, like I've legitimately learned something here that I can get certified for doing.
Right. So I believe on Augie's portal, or however you kind of select your credits for the upcoming semester, or I think actually I had to apply for it or fill out a form, and for each I had to list, okay, what's like my like major 1 in this interdisciplinary major, and there were up to 3 spots, and then I believe for each of those 3 majors into one, you had to have a certain number of like courses, and each course kind of has and I think it's like I think some courses are like kind of core courses, if I'm remembering right. It's maybe called something else, or like 4 credit courses, like a couple of those main general ones that are like the first ones that you're supposed to take for that major, like biology or business. So
Yeah.
I believe that's how it worked. And then, yeah, once I submitted that or sent that form into the admin building and then they approved it, I think I needed a couple signatures. That was another requirement from your advisor. And I think an advisor for each major, but they all approved it. And yeah, I think it's also is a little bit more of like a special situation major too. Like for in my case, it was, running out of time, wanting to graduate in 4 years, sort of thing. Because ideally, maybe to kind of just get more of that well-rounded education, you'd maybe want to just do, well, why not do 2 separate majors? So if I do it over, maybe I'd do that, but maybe I'd end up with another interdisciplinary major.
Yeah, okay. And that's good because it's not just, just get a few signatures from my advisors and then call it a day. It's
right.
a lot of work to be able to do that, and a fulfilling major as well.
Right.
So then how were the classes at Augie? How did you find them? Were they difficult or were they pretty straightforward?
I think at first, kind of just like comparing like high school level coursework with college level coursework, at first it feels really tough, really difficult. And I think also with my exercise science degree too, it was a couple of those general biology courses that are, I believe the faculty actually call them weed out courses too.
All right. So separate the men from the boys or the women from the girls.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, just taking those first couple courses and yeah.
So you didn't find it too difficult then?
Not too difficult. Yeah. After taking those first couple of courses, I think you kind of get used to it. And then I feel like my senior year was pretty easy breezy and just a lot of fun and bittersweet too.
Yeah. So you had pretty good study habits then? Because I remember, like, looking back now, my studying habits were not great. And I've since been able to learn like how to sit down in front of a computer and focus on a task for multiple hours at a time. Whereas I feel like when I was at Augie, it'd be 4 hours of studying max. That would be like a huge effort for me.
Right.
But I know there's people that sit in the library for 12 hours a day.
It's crazy. Yeah. No, the work ethic of those people blows my mind. And I would just be at the library and trying to be them, I think, too, and hoping that the knowledge in the textbook would go to my brain. But yeah, no, I think, in high school, maybe I studied for 10 or 30 minutes for a test. And at a test at Augie, I think it was, at least 10 hours a week, maybe more for a test, multiple days. And then literally right up until the test point, you could see everyone actually with their textbook, like outside the classroom trying to. Yeah,
that's the ultimate study time, is just like 10 minutes before the class, get the textbook out,
right?
Read through it. You'll be all set.
Oh yeah.
I know that's not proper advice for anyone listening. I wouldn't really recommend doing that.
Right.
And it depends on the classes too. I found there was a few professors that like to throw curveballs in the test and make them especially difficult.
Right.
Like Dr. Kepsel and his accounting test.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm sure you would have taken.
Right. I think I didn't have Dr. Kepsel, but I did have, I think, Olson.
Yeah, okay. Chilling then.
Yep.
No worries at all. What else stands out to you from your time at Augie, Raquel?
Besides the tough coursework and just learning what I wanted to do with my life a little bit, I think definitely the relationships. I'm so glad to still be connected with a lot of friends from Augie, and even meeting new friends after Augie that I find out also went to Augie. So I think that part definitely stands out a lot.
And what sort of activities did you like to do with your friends?
Well, there was definitely lots to do on campus. I think really sometimes you don't even have to leave Augie's campus to kind of find things to do, because I think every weekend there was either just events going on, put on by different groups, student-led groups at Augie. Or I think sometimes they would even hire or kind of have guests come to Augie. Like I think once, I don't know if there was a hypnotist, but they definitely had like drag shows and just a bunch of comedians, bunch of different
drag
guests.
shows are always fun, and especially you get some of the huge football guys just
Right?
dress up and just strut their stuff down the catwalk.
Right?
They always got plenty of cheers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they were good fun. And the late night events were good ones as well, put on by the Elman Centre. You used to work at the Elman Centre,
Yeah.
right?
Yep, I did.
So tell me a little bit about that, because I think some people have told me it was like a great job for them. Others maybe not so much. How did you find it?
Right. And I definitely heard that too. I think it kind of depends on the person a little bit too. So I pretty sure I worked there all 4 years. Kind of did a couple of the different jobs there, like worked in the weight room and then also at the desk and then on their leadership staff too. It was a lot of fun. I think just the staff and the leaders too, Mark Hecht, who led the whole staff. You grow pretty attached to all of them, and just, really the staff is so much fun. And I think they do a good job of making it really student focused too, where you do have like, a pretty good like say in how things are run. You get to bring your ideas to the table, which really that's kind of a big like part of life too. Like it is kind of like teaching you how to put your ideas out there and try something new
and not be afraid to actually voice them and say like, hey, we could probably improve this a little bit, or have we considered doing it that way?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to me, the rec services, the people who worked at the Elman, they always seemed like it was like very much a community, always like friendly people. You'd walk past the front desk and everyone be greeting you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And it just seemed like a cool opportunity as well.
Right. Yeah, it was super fun. And yeah, really for anybody who loves sports, it was like the place to be. There's always people playing racquetball, tennis, basketball. I think you spent a lot of time there too.
Oh yeah, every day.
Yeah.
So much fun.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that changed you as a person working in the rec services?
I do think so. I feel like almost every experience at Augie, but I think especially at rec services, since I did spend a lot of time there too, or just working hours, but sometimes those working hours didn't really feel like work, kind of felt like hanging out with your friends, since sometimes you do get to work with your friends, which was fun. What was the question again?
Yeah, how did you change during your time doing the rec service stuff?
I think they do like kind of behind the scenes and in some of our staff meetings, they do focus a lot on like personal development or just kind of how to work with people, even how to train staff members.
So they have
too.
really good training. I think I've definitely heard that.
Yeah.
I think maybe 5 a.m. meetings or something disgusting, which maybe not the most fun, but I think they'd always do. And like, I don't know, because I was never a part of it, but before the school year, they would have like a week-long, I guess you call it like a retreat or training,
right,
that they would do, and like lots of team building, all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Kind of like it was like I think a 2-day retreat where, you would kind of do lots of training, but also team bonding, like you said.
So working the Elman was great. Mm-hmm. Did you do any other, like, were you part of any other groups at Augie?
Yeah, I think a couple of different ones. I know I also worked in the admin building a little bit. I think actually this room that we're in is where I used to do some paper filing.
Oh, really?
Yep.
The back room, which is now a boardroom. Right. And the IPO have taken over this space.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just another thing that's changed at Augie, which is crazy. But yeah, it kind of brings me back a little bit being in this room. So yeah, that was fun. And with that, I'd give Augie tours. So sometimes it'd be fun to see like some freshmen that I gave tours to walking around campus, like, hey, I recognize that person. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then
the tours would have been good, sort of, you kind of, because you really get to help promote the school and you get to highlight all the different like buildings, but also the different things that go on here as well. Right.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and usually it was always like a really nice day, so it was just kind of a nice walk around campus too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, so you didn't do it in the dead of winter?
Not very often, I think. Or yeah, I feel like I mostly remember nicer days, but maybe that's my memory.
I feel like that's kind of funny because it's like, oh, look at this beautiful school with the nice green grass and the nice sunshine above. And then 3 months later, when it's wintertime, bang, it's completely different.
Super cold. And yeah, there must have been some of those, I think, though. But maybe we did less tours at that time.
Yeah. And we're sort of fooling everyone here because it looks really nice outside. Still really cold.
Oh, yeah.
But for this time of year, there should definitely be snow on the ground.
Right? Exactly. It's December. It's weird. The weather here has never made sense to me.
Yeah. But I honestly am quite enjoying it because I think it's a bit more lively than when it's snow, and then you got the cloud cover as well, so it gets very dark and moody very quickly. Right.
Me too. Agreed.
And so what other activities did you do at Augie?
I also was a part of a pottery group that I kind of helped organize with a couple other friends, actually 2 friends that one was in my first year dorm, and then another one I worked with at the Elman. And that was really fun, where we would take leftover or throwaway pottery from the ceramics classrooms at Augie and sell them and donate the proceeds to a couple different like hunger groups, like Kids Against Hunger, and that was a lot of fun. And then I think I did a little bit with, I know there was hundreds of groups. I think maybe a couple sustainability, Augie Green meetings here and there, but mostly those other groups I was more involved in. And then just some intramural sports too, like tennis and sand volleyball was super fun too.
Oh yeah, how were they?
So much fun. Yeah, I feel like that's kind of really where you like really get to meet a lot of students at Augie, and some like become your close friends, and it's pretty crazy.
So which was your favorite intramural?
I think probably the tennis one. I do love to play a lot of tennis.
I didn't even know there was a tennis intramural.
Yeah. Yup. Yeah. Tennis. That one's super fun. And yeah, I think my partner and I think we got pretty far in one of them my freshman year.
So it was doubles.
Mm-hmm. Doubles. Yeah.
So you get to pick your teammate and just head off against anyone else who challenged you.
Right. 2 other teammates. Yeah. There's a whole bracket, and yeah. Bragging rights.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love a good old bragging right.
Right.
What other intramurals did you play?
Sand volleyball. I think just indoor volleyball too. That was fun. I think I did I think they had a couple mud volleyball days when it was really nice out. And then I think maybe tried racquetball and I think ping pong too.
Oh, so you very much sort of spread out and did a whole variety of things.
Yeah. At least tried them once.
Yeah, the mud volleyball was good fun because it's something so unique. I'd never even knew it was sort of a thing, but there's a little like bit of dirt, but then you just fill it with water and all of a sudden it becomes mud.
Right.
And trying to hit the volleyball as well becomes very difficult because that itself is covered in mud, and then everyone else is covered in mud, and it's just a big mess, but just a big old good time.
Right? Yep. Super slippery. I don't know how we stayed standing, honestly.
And then, let's talk about the photography class,
mm-hmm.
because you're now working as a photographer. I'm now working as a videographer,
mm-hmm.
and we both we weren't in the same class at the same time, but we both took the entry-level photography class, and I think for me, it gave me so many foundations that really just allowed me to freely progress in the craft.
Right.
So how did you find that photography class? Was it good?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was amazing, and yeah, it was really fun because I think, and it just kind of a nice break too after all the really heavy studying courses too, to just kind of get more in the creative side. And I think I found that's where I kind of thrived a bit and just love to explore. I think even a lot of the topics were kind of just to come up with something off of one topic, like light, and then that was kind of open interpretation for however you wanted, and then you come up with something, share your work in the class, and yeah, it was so much fun. And yeah, I really was sad when it was over, so then got my own camera.
Yeah. Can you remember what you did for your first project?
Let's see. I think one of the first ones might have been light, and I think for that one, yeah, I think I maybe I don't know if I got as creative. I think if I were to do it over, it'd be really fun to try that project again, actually. So I think maybe I'd kind of did like
Maybe that's
outside
a
light.
challenge that we could do together. We could
Oh,
both
yeah.
sort of do a light project, and we can just, I don't know, walk around campus and try and
Right?
take some better photos than what we could do back in the day.
Right? We could dig up the old photos and compare them too.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
So I remember I took some of I think over in Starvig, just on the brick wall, there was a grasshopper just climbing the wall that I took a close shot of. But I very much just sort of walked around campus and just, I don't know, took random photos, and it's like, oh yeah, that's light. Whereas looking at that now, it's like, well, did you really think about what light was? And maybe not, but
Right.
very difficult for beginners who've never been exposed to the field before to understand all those really complicated concepts.
Right? Yeah. And like light is also just something that I think challenges me now today. Like it's kind of a never, it's really, really can be open to interpretation. And yeah. And it was fun to also see what other people would come up with, because everyone came up with something so different, I think, too.
Yeah, I think, and that's what really draws me to the video craft, is it's just never end. Like it just goes on forever.
Right.
You can never learn everything about it.
Right.
And it's so good to be able to just express yourself in so many different ways, and you can have your own tastes and methods and ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, personally, I like it as a craft. But what do you like so much about photography?
Yeah. I think, there's so many things, and it's so cool because photography and videography, there's so many different types of it too. There's food, fashion, weddings, landscape, National Geographic, which is so cool. But I think for me, I really love, I think I get energized by being around people, and people inspire me, and I love that. So for me, I love being a part of like people's big days, or even just capturing them and their family, chasing their little ones around, and kind of just capturing those like unexpected moments, but then kind of trying to be creative with it, with framing and lighting. And I think that kind of sort of where like something magical happens a little bit, and you maybe create something new, or even sometimes it's maybe reminds you of something else too. So yeah, just the creative aspect of it kind of blows my mind and inspires me.
Well, you do lots of work with people. You do lots of engagement photo shoots, just couple photo shoots, weddings as well.
Mm-hmm.
So all that sort of love-centric type of thing. So you very much like that, like the couple dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I feel like that's something that kind of you draw upon, and sort of what you gravitate towards.
Right. Yeah. No, I think what inspires me so much is just capturing feelings kind of in a photo.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
Right. Like, and I'm also like a romantic too. So I do love the love, but yeah, kind of capturing, like trying to see emotion in people's eyes, and and the connection too between two people is kind of crazy, and trying to bring it out, and, not in a forced way, but like in a natural way is really fun. So yeah, I could go on about it.
And I think capturing a feeling in a photo, I find incredibly difficult. I obviously have more practice in video, but I find it so much easier because there's just more footage to work with. And then later in the edit, there's so much flexibility in like with music and tone and everything to like piece together a certain mood. But I feel like with photography, to be able to capture that one specific moment, look, feeling is incredibly difficult. So I don't know if you have any insight of how you actually do that.
Right. It's definitely can be hard. And some couples too that I'll meet, they're naturals, they're just comfortable in front of a camera too. But some are maybe a little bit stiff, a little bit awkward right away, which is totally normal, because you're not most people aren't used to being in front of a camera all the time, or even just all so super comfortable, and maybe they like to just show affection more in private, which is totally fine, of course, too. But yeah, I think how I do it, I think it all really ties down to making them feel comfortable and connecting with people. I think just treating people like a friend, and then also really becoming friends with them is really fun afterwards too. So kind of, I guess one thing I like to do is I like to play music a lot during sessions. I think that helps also like set the tone for the shoot too. You can play something really soft, like like a lullaby even, or you could play something that's a little bit more moody, edgy, and it kind of like, it kind of like helps me get into sort of like, okay, what am I creating in front of me, or we're kind of making a scene together with the people in front of the camera too, and they might kind of go with what feels natural for them, which is fun to see, and then just capturing that.
Yeah, very terrific tips you just provided there. Thank you for those.
Yeah.
I think I would definitely use a few of those, because I'm still not too good at like posing people for portraits or anything. I've done a little bit of that, but nothing on the level that you've been doing.
Oh,
that's really great tips.
Thanks.
Where did the love of photography start? Was it that class at Augie?
I think yes. I think that class at Augie really kind of made me realize that I really like this, but I still at that point wasn't really thinking of doing it as a career or full time even. I thought, okay, like on the side or as a hobby. But I did always like taking pictures before that too, even just with friends, just kind of documenting the moment, the memories.
And just on a phone?
Just on a phone, yeah. But I think, I always wanted a camera growing up, but just took pictures on my phone. And then once I learned how to use the camera actually in that class, I think another student showed me how, because it is kind of hard to first learn how to use a camera, and it's pretty intimidating when you first pick it up.
It's such a steep learning curve, because
right.
I think, well, I'm sort of speaking for both of us, but when you're doing it professionally, you're not thinking about the camera settings. They're all used for style, so you set it up in a certain way, but it's not the manual like, what shutter speed am I going to use? I will move it this way. It's all like, you have to go like that, because if you're in a wedding, for example, you don't have time to be looking at your camera and working out if it's all the settings are correct. It needs to be ready to go so you can capture those moments that may last half a second.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But as for a beginner, it's a little bit more tricky, because you have to learn those foundations, and all your focus is kind of on those to begin with.
Right. Yeah, so true. And it's not even just like one setting, like you said, like just change the shutter speed. That also affects like 3 other settings that you have to change with it. So yeah, it's a tough learning curve, and just takes a lot of practice, I think.
Yeah. Would you recommend that class to anyone?
I think definitely, like, especially even, if you're, studying to be a doctor, like, I think it's kind of fun to even feel the creative side of your brain work in a way. I also took a painting class at Augie, I think the same time as I took a microbiology class. And I think just kind of going from each of those classes, I felt like I was just like working my whole brain, and it was kind of crazy and kind of a fun feeling. But yeah, just taking a class out of your element, I think, will teach you something.
So would you consider yourself an artsy person or creative person?
For sure. Yeah. No, I think even like as a kid, I always liked being crafty, and I think just, making like poster boards, any kind of craft or drawing. Yeah. All my life.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I sort of have a bit of an opposite experience. I would have never considered myself a creative.
Oh, yeah.
I was always very logical in my thinking. I still am. But I think it was sort of photography that kind of unlocked that creativity for me, because it was just a way that I was comfortable in, like, photographing things and actually expressing that art. Whereas if I had to draw something, well, I just didn't have the skills as someone who could draw. And even when I took the ceramics class here, well, I was not very good at molding stuff with my hands at all.
Yeah.
I think it's having the camera was a way for me to actually capture things and actually express my creativity.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. And that's kind of, sometimes it's like finding that right medium maybe too.
Yeah. So do you say you did painting here? Did you do any other art classes?
I think it was just, painting. And then I did ceramics too, which I thought that was really hard too. Didn't quite have the skill for molding clay. And then photography was the last one. Oh, and then graphic design.
Okay.
Too.
Oh, so you did take quite a few art classes then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were all really fun, and really all like, they weren't a part of a major, just kind of intended to be for fun and keep me busy a semester.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the great thing about liberal arts education, is that you can have a bit of variety, try a few different things. And yeah, and like there's still room to take a few art classes on top of like another whole major as well,
Right.
which is kind of a neat thing.
Yeah, no, definitely true. And yeah, that makes me, I'm so glad that I was able to do that or had room to be able to take those classes.
So you graduated in 2019
Mm-hmm.
with your interdisciplinary major.
Yep.
And so what job did you have lined up after that?
After that, I worked as I believe my title was an intern at a small startup PR company in Sioux Falls, where I think I was a social media strategist and then I worked there for about a little less than 2 years. And during that time is when the pandemic happened and the company kind of went through some changes too. I was working from home for a while. And then after that, I switched to a bit bigger company doing social media also, but a little bit more media too, with working with more Facebook ads and kind of miscellaneous. But I think digital media coordinator or something was my title there.
Yeah. Did you learn lots while you had those jobs? Because I think social media is such a huge thing these days.
Right.
It's like having those skills to me would seem like a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I learned a lot in both of those jobs and I'm super grateful. I think the first one especially was just, learning how to be an adult too after college, because college you still kind of get that big support system of the school and, I had a meal plan, so I didn't have to make my own meals even. But yeah, in the work at those jobs, especially the first one, really learned how to work with clients and maybe clients that maybe some were a little bit more demanding than others. And so you kind of learn how to talk to clients, just how to be a professional too, and how to make them happy, of course, too. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then just the whole marketing side, the social media side, it changes every day. So really it's kind of learning a new platform, I think, almost every day.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to keep up with it.
Right? Keeping up with the updates in the meta ads and yeah. Can be frustrating too.
Absolutely. Have you been able to use any of those skills with the full-time photography?
I have, yeah. I think the social media has helped me a lot because that is actually one of the big places that I find my clients today too. I think almost like 80% of them come from Instagram actually. So just kind of trying to keep up with that algorithm and connecting with people digitally is, I think, a big part of my work. But also, I think it has negatives and positives. Like I've met so many people through social media, which is awesome.
What about some of the negatives then?
The negatives, I think sometimes like I catch myself just spending too much time on Instagram or, you kind of doom scroll and
or even just, I'll check my messages because maybe someone's DM'd me for some work, but then somehow you end up scrolling for a couple of hours.
Right. Oh, yeah. And then, in those 2 hours, I could have maybe cleaned or done something else more productive or read a book. So I'm trying to be better about that personally.
That's pretty crazy that you find a good majority of your clients on and through social media.
Mm-hmm. Right. It is, yeah, pretty crazy. And yeah, I actually still remember thinking like, oh, like, should I start an Instagram for my photography and like debating it? And now it's like, of course, yeah. But there are other ways, like I think just getting referrals and like networking. And that's been another huge way that I think I get more clients. The 80%, maybe that was a little high. Might be a little less than that.
But you still definitely get quite a bit of work through there. And is that by design? Like, so you have the strategy to attract clients?
I think it didn't start off with that strategy, but then kind of once I realized that a lot were coming through there, I think it definitely has become more of a strategy where I do try to make posts and just everything, even my website too, very client focused. And then I've also spent some time like taking different online courses and just listening to photography education podcasts to kind of get tips on how to like market yourself, because I think marketing is tough. Even though I worked 2 different jobs doing it, it's still hard.
It's very, very tough, the old marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any strong marketing experience. I've just been sort of trying to work it out for myself. So it's it's tough as a freelancer to put yourself out there and actually to get enough work
Right.
to become full time.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But I think the nice part is it's definitely something that anybody can learn, like YouTube is always such a great resource, and just, there's tons of free education out there too. And just even self-teaching your stuff too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think actually circling back a little bit, because this is where we spent a lot of time together while we were at Augie. We actually did some video work for C6 Church back in the day, and that was right as that sort of started up.
Oh, yeah.
Which was really cool. So kind of a startup church here in Sioux Falls with the pastor, Zach Ochoga.
Mm-hmm.
He had big vision to like put his video content everywhere. So he had all this really nice equipment, which he had sort of got his friend. Well, I should mention Zach is from Nigeria, and he had another Nigerian friend in the States he's a cinematographer. So Leslie was his name. So sort of Leslie kind of said to Zach, like, yeah, get all this awesome gear, set it up, and then bang, you'll be all set. But the problem is no one knew how to use this equipment. Mm-hmm. And I think you were going to that church at the time, or at least your uncle, Hector, was there. Mm-hmm. So that was your connection to there. And then I remember seeing on your story one day, you just had, I think you had the Blackmagic camera out and you were filming something. I was like, dang, this is so cool. What is Raquel up to? So I just sort of messaged you like, what's going on here? And you sort of filled me in with all the details. And then I said, well, can I come and help out? And you said, sure, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was awesome and such great timing. And I feel like you were really, really helpful too, because I didn't really know what I was doing. And I think Zach and Leslie was kind of teaching us really. And I feel like you just added a whole bunch of expertise and helped us really run the show.
Which is funny because I think I only had I had bits and pieces of video experience up until that point. I think that was probably during my YouTube era where I was just binging YouTube and just watching all these vloggers and other filmmakers on the platform just doing amazing things. So I was just, theoretically, I was learning lots, but I wasn't necessarily putting it into practice. Mm-hmm. So having an opportunity like that was really great, where I could sort of take a little bit of a lead saying, hey, like I kind of know what I'm doing here. Like, how about we do this and we'll set it up this way? Because we had to live stream the service every Sunday morning.
Yeah, I remember a lot of setup, but yeah, just a really fun like learning experience and connecting. Yeah, it was fun equipment to work with because it was so high tech and and I think the end result, the picture looked amazing for the live stream too. Yeah.
And all those sort of extra meetings we'd go to trying to work out logistically, how would we set up these two cameras and then feed it into the computer to do a live stream on Facebook. I think for me, it was a great experience, and I'm sure you learned an absolute ton as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So I think that's where we definitely spent a lot of time at college. We sort of had friend groups overlapping and we did other activities together, but that was sort of where we had that time. We just happened to be building the skills with what we're doing now,
right?
Which would later be in the future.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It is really crazy and fun to have kind of those like learning, starting experiences too. And it was fun to kind of still today, share a passion with you for photo and video.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we'll definitely catch up some more.
Oh, yeah.
In Sioux Falls, and we might do that the photography challenge.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
which would be kind of fun. And I'm assuming we could probably get them printed as well over at the the postal services on campus.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, kind of show the before and afters.
Yeah, this is what a student beginner looks like, and then 5-6 years later, this is what the output is.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I still have those files and I still have my Augie email that I use too. So
Do you
I think
really?
they're saved there. Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your aspirations then for the future? You want to stick with photography?
I think yes for now. I think so just knowing myself, I think I kind of get bored fast or change my mind a lot too. So I guess I don't know if I can say forever the rest of my life, but for the foreseeable future, I love photography and definitely making plans to keep growing, scale my business, and meet more clients. And next year, I'm super excited. I have almost a full calendar of weddings, actually.
Do you really?
Which is pretty fun. And they're all pretty spread out. And I think one is in the Gulf of Mexico. And there's another one where I think I'm traveling a little bit. Maybe it's in the Black Hills. So not too far of a travel, but yeah, I'm super excited.
God, that's amazing. Well done for all that.
Thanks. Yeah.
Book out the calendar. I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing next week, let alone next year.
Sometimes that's kind of nice though, to have that open schedule. And yeah. And right now I kind of have a pretty open schedule for the next month or two to kind of prep for the year really too, and update my backup systems and make all the business behind the scenes work and get that done. But yeah, I think I'm always like open to trying new things, learning new things about photography. So I think it could be fun to even get into maybe like brand photography or do a little bit more corporate work too, just to see how I like it and see what I like best schedule wise too, because that's important to me, and flexibility. So yeah, we'll see, but open to all the opportunities, but loving working for myself. And yeah, freelancing is awesome.
That sounds so good.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Seems like you're in a really good spot.
Yeah, it's fun. And yeah, each year, even just looking at the past 3 years, I feel like my business has grown a lot. I mean, it also just started 3 years ago, but it's fun to see the growth and the change.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Raquel, favorite question coming up.
Ooh.
If you could give your time at Augustana a letter grade, what would you give it?
Ooh, like A through F?
Yeah. Or G if it was that bad.
Right. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, the course is a G, I think maybe for like how I did during college.
Yeah, just your experience.
Yeah, I think maybe I do a B, just because I am so indecisive and should have just made up my mind, or maybe started a little different, or taken more time before starting to explore what I maybe really want. But sometimes I think you do have to be just like thrown into college to kind of learn what you like maybe too.
So you feel like maybe you would have been better with a gap year where you can sort of work out a little bit more, what direction am I heading in, and what sort of major or what career do I want to have, and how can I leverage my time at college to sort of pursue that path? Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. I think that definitely probably could have set me up better. But then there's also part of me that, loves all the relationships I made and like wouldn't change a thing about that. So I also think maybe an A. Maybe I'll give it an A too.
An A? Oh, I persuaded you, did I?
Right. It all kind of just fell into place. But yeah. But I think for some, a gap year could have been really helpful too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And were there any other challenges that you faced during Augie that maybe made your time a little bit more difficult?
I feel like honestly it was, not too tough really. Like really the coursework was maybe the hardest part. And I don't think there was anything, maybe just like, newer buildings. Now they have really nice newer dorms. And I think I shouldn't say suffer, but we had no AC in my freshman dorm. So that was kind of rough.
Which one were you in?
Solberg.
Solberg. Oh, okay. Was there no... actually, there wasn't AC in Berg either.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, then neither of them. So that was rough. So now they're living in luxury. So just that could have made it better.
Yeah. Yeah, but overall, it was really great experience from the sounds of it. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, I do miss it. It feels like another life almost at this point. But yeah, still very, great memories. And yeah, I miss seeing everybody all the time was amazing too.
Do you still catch up with your friends from Augie?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was actually in one friend's wedding just a couple months ago, actually. So yeah, still have stayed very close with my close friends at Augie, and yeah, still trying to even also like meet new people or catch up with old ones too, or other friends also. So try to keep those relationships close.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then Raquel, if you could give some advice to someone who is maybe coming from a different country and wants to come and study in the US, or even because since you started here in the US and you're still here, maybe some advice for an American student who is considering, is this sort of push to go to college, is it sort of valid? Would you give some advice maybe that would shed some light on, well, maybe that's not the case, you don't have to rush into it? Because like you said, maybe it would have been better if you took some time to think about it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Yeah, honestly, I think like a gap year, spending time in a different country could have been so valuable too, because you're forced to just learn about people and the world a bit more. And I think like as soon as I got to travel internationally, I feel like my eyes were really open to what's all out there. So I think giving advice to someone would be, yeah, maybe don't rush into college even right away. Or I think our society kind of stinks in how like it makes you think you have to take this certain path to, really, I think the more non-traditional, the better. So yeah, if there's any kind of pull or push like towards something, I kind of just say like follow your heart too, and what feels right in your gut, and and don't be afraid to try it. And I feel like any experience is really a good experience or a lesson to learn too.
Great advice.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
And so you've done a bit of traveling then. What sort of countries have you been to?
I think, so at the first, I got to study abroad actually in Costa Rica.
Oh, did you really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we didn't talk about that. How was that experience?
Oh, it was so fun. Yeah, really opened my eyes, and that was my first time traveling like pretty much alone, because that was with another program. I forget the name of it, but it wasn't an Augie led group. So I think there were 2 other Augie students that were studying different courses and flying to Costa Rica too that same time, but we weren't in the same like class, or we weren't traveling together really. But we did meet up when we were there, which was cool to see them there.
So what class was it that you were doing down there?
I took a tropical ecology course.
Tropical ecology, that sounds super fancy.
Right? Yeah, it was really fun, and it was actually pretty laid back. So yeah, it was a lot more just kind of exploring. Really, I think we went to a rainforest and got to go explore the country a little bit too. We stayed in the capital city, San Jose, but went to some beaches, and we had chances to really get to know a lot of people in our program too, which was awesome. And I got to meet people around the world too. I think I remember I had another friend from Australia actually I met in that course. And
oh, there you go.
And she was awesome. And I think someone from Madagascar, and so people were from all over, and and just like the East Coast in the US too. So yeah, it was an awesome course, and I think that changed my life for sure.
Well, I think that's very interesting. What you just said is that the course itself wasn't much, but that experience of going there changed you forever.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
So I think there's an important takeaway there, is that just the experience doing tropical ecology in a rainforest, well, maybe you're not taking notes every 5 minutes about it, but you're surrounded by, what is like, that's just hands-on learning.
Right.
And sharing that with other people too, and those relationships that you make, and like-minded people as well, sharing that same experience in the same class. I think those are the experiences that can really define someone.
Yeah, completely, for sure.
And did you do any other studying abroad?
That was the only time. Yeah, I wish I would have done more, because after that I definitely wanted to travel to Europe and just all other places too. So yeah, that's probably another piece of advice I'd give to somebody, is study abroad, or maybe go to college in another country. Like you knew what you were doing, I think.
Well, I loved it so much, I'm back.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's definitely worth it, and really helps shape you as a person.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share, Raquel? Anything else that's sort of uncovered or bubbled up since we've been talking?
I feel like we covered a lot of really good topics.
We sure did.
Yeah. Not that I can think of. Anything for you?
No, this has been a great chat.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much, Zach.
No worries at all. Raquel, thank you so much for coming back to college.
Thank you. It's been great to be back.